So let's talk about how we want to do this. So I think first thing is, you know, you guys asked already, what is elo inflated? So this is mostly going to be champions. Like, if a champion that's elo inflated is going to, like, boost your rank beyond your skill level, basically. A champion that is elo deflated is the opposite. So these are going to be champions that are, like, too difficult and stuff and are probably holding you back. I think it's pretty important as well that we try to avoid it just being a meta tier list. Because if we just did the meta, the way this would just be is, like, every champion in the Giga Elo inflated list is just going to be the best champs in the game. So we're going to try be a little, like, irrespective, or is that the right word? I guess we're going to try not to think about meta too much. It's probably going to be, like, hard to differentiate sometimes, because the reality is, like, a lot of champions that are just, like, perma strong or whatever are, you know, people just, like, think of them as Elo inflated. So we'll do our best to avoid meta, but I think the reality is it's going to creep in a little bit. But we'll try not to think about that too much. Where you have bias as a mage player, guys, this is a fun fact, and I want you guys to internalize this right now. I am the only person in the entire world who isn't biased, okay? Everyone else, a lot of time has, like, wrong opinions, or, you know, they're like, misinformed. But me, you know, I'm unbiased. I'm a completely neutral party. Always have been, always will be. So you can trust me, guys, is what I'm saying. Let's begin. So Ahri, guys, you should know this one. I think you should all know this one. Ahri is elo inflated. I don't think she's giga elo inflated, but the reason Ahri is elo inflated is because this champ lets you get away with too much, you know, and the biggest example of this is, like, when you get ganked mid, another champ dies, Ahri has to burn her ult, right? Now, if she were giga elo inflated, she wouldn't even have to burn ult. She'd just, like, survive somehow. And there are actually champs that can do that. But for Ahri, it's like, you still get punished. And funnily enough, I think this makes it, like, a decent champ for learning. You get punished on the mistake. You know, you lose your ult, and that sucks. But you don't get fully punished for it. And you do get away with a lot more than you should. You know, you've got sustain, you've got movement speed, you've got a shit ton of dashes. So I think she's definitely elo inflated. I honestly think sustain is actually a big deal as well. Like, sustain kind of goes under the radar, especially for a champ like Ahri, where the sustain is not super obvious. But yeah, this shit's elo inflated. I'll be honest. It's not as bad as some of the other things on this list, but it is a little elo inflated. All right, what are we thinking about Akali? Akali is, like, elo deflated or giga elo deflated. I think it's probably deflated. So okay, let's think about this a little bit. The one thing that makes me stop from putting Akali in giga elo deflated is she does use D shield second wind. You know what I mean? So, like, Akali's really hard. Akali is definitely really hard. But you do get away with shit because you've got a fuck ton of regen. Yes, exactly. You guys see it in the chat. Like, she does have a lot of regen. And I feel like there are definitely some Akali players who are not very good at laning and kind of get away with it because they're running D-Shield, Second Wind, you know, and Akali also just has, like, crazy base regen. But I still think it's, like, you know, Akali's not the sort of champ that can just, like, go AFK and win, right? Like, there are some champs that just sustain and then, like, actually have to be punished or whatever. But I feel like Akali does need some sort of lead, or at least, like, needs to farm pretty well. Otherwise, like, you hit your spikes and stuff too late. So if you're playing Akali, you're probably, like, a little elo deflated, but not too much. I'd say not too much. Okay, Akshan, guys. Yeah. This one, super fucking easy. Giga elo inflated. Probably one of the most inflated champions in the game, actually. Akshan breaks a lot of the rules. I will say that Akshan is a pretty hard champion to play, but the problem is that he makes playing mid lane very easy, in my opinion. And so what that means is, like, once you get good at Akshan, you don't have to be that good at mid, in my opinion, because you can break so many rules. Like, you basically just, like, auto-win most lanes, unless you're versus some of the really hard mages. You kind of get the thing that Katarina has, where you get to, like, just, like, run around and get fed randomly. But unlike Katarina, you actually have this, like, crazy good laning phase, which, you know, Kat, like, kind of struggles in a lot of lanes. Akshan struggles in very few. And at the end of the day, guys, you're also a crit 80 carry, which means you scale pretty well. So I think Akshan, one of the most elo inflated champs in the whole game. It's pretty disturbing. Yeah, I really, really hate playing against Akshan. Oh, Anivia, guys, I might drop some hot takes here. Okay, this is a tough one. This is one where I really need to think about not the meta. Because if I were going to do this based off meta, I would say Anivia is giga elo inflated. Like, this champion currently is disgustingly broken, and she's super hard to punish because once you get 6, you can just, like, you know, you can ult the waves. You don't have to interact basically at all. You get to build catalysts and everything. Super unpunishable. I do think, though, that's, like, it is kind of meta biased, I think. You know, like, for a while, Anivia was not very good in lane. Like, it took too long to get Catalyst. You were really punishable before that point. It is kind of like Lux, though. I do think it is kind of like Lux, where Even though there is like quite a lot of skill in a good Anivia, it's also quite hard to punish a bad Anivia because they can just clear so easily. So I think she should be at the very top of Elo Inflated, or maybe at the bottom of Giga Elo Inflated. I think we might have to come back to Anivia just when there's more champs on the list, but I feel pretty strongly about this champ. I really, really dislike this champ overall. It's really, really can't to play against. Okay, Annie. Interesting. Okay, I think Annie is actually, I want to say not Elo Inflated. I think Annie might be right in the middle. So, okay, maybe if you're super low Elo, Annie might be a tiny bit inflated because she does have like a pretty clear game plan, right? Like she kills CS easily. She can't just like group up in 5v5. But I think, I don't know, Annie is like a little harder than people think. Like her laning phase has kind of been power crept a little bit. You know, like some of the mages do like destroy this champ. While she has also gotten some power herself and shit like Electrocute. It's definitely not as easy to lane on Annie as it used to be. And it's actually quite hard to farm after lane on Annie. Also, there's like a lot of skill to like controlling the bear and shit. So, I don't know, maybe at the bottom of Elo Inflated or not Elo Inflated. I'm not sure. I think I'll leave it here for now. We should actually come back to this one. All right, Sol. Sol, I think, is our first Elo deflated champion. I think that Sol, for a long time, has just been like impossible to pick, basically. Now, maybe I'm like kind of meta maxing here, but like, yeah, I don't know. It is hard to say. Like, maybe I'm like leaning too much on meta, but I feel like this champ just sucks. Yeah, I basically agree. I will say, okay, and maybe we should think about this a little bit. ASO in lower ranks, yeah, as I was about to say, ASO in lower ranks probably does scale for free. And like, maybe you don't get punished as much because, you know, you're not going to verse shit like, you're not going to verse like some of the harder counters like all the time. So, okay, you know what? Let's put it like here somewhere. I think, yeah, maybe we can't put it in Giga Elo Deflated. I do think you're making your life like a little harder by playing ASOL, especially by playing ASOL mid. I think if you play ASOL bot, it's like probably not as bad, but yeah, I think ASOL mid we should probably put here. Okay, let's do Aurora. I think for almost everyone that Aurora is actually an Elo deflation champion right now. So yeah, I think, okay, actually, you know what, maybe here. Here's the thing with Aurora. Like, Aurora is, she's got a lot of things like Ahri that you think would make her quite forgiving. You know, like, she's got dashes, which is really good. She's got a lot of, like, mobility as well. Like, obviously, there's, like, movement speed and stuff. So, like, in theory, it is easy to avoid dying on this champ, which is, like, a lot of what solo queue is all about. But I think the thing with Aurora is, like, you kind of do need to get ahead. And also, you do need to go in, and it's not as easy to get out compared to a champ like Ahri. And she doesn't have like a lot of the forgiveness that Ahri does. You know, like for example, it is much easier to miss Aurora's combo compared to Ahri. You don't have the sustain and shit in lane, so like if you make mistakes, I think it's pretty bad. I think she, just because she has so much mobility, I think we probably have to put her in like not Elo inflated. But I could see a world where she's actually Elo deflated. Like, this champ is a lot harder than people think, and I think there's a lot of people hinting on it. I think Azir goes in the lowest possible tier. Yeah, so let's do Azir. I think Azir is Giga Elo deflated. This champion is really hard in general, but it's also, like, really hard in solo queue, in my opinion. I think Azir used to be insane in solo queue, because it was, like, a lot of the things that actually make champions good. You know, like, he's scaled, he has mobility, he has, like, self-peel and stuff. But the biggest problem nowadays is the game has become just so fast that it's pretty hard to play Azir. And then I think the other thing is that, like, so much of Azir's strength these days is tied to his gank setup. You know, it's that even in the most difficult matchups, you can just play for ganks. But nowadays, like in solo queue especially, that's like less likely compared to pro player or whatever. So I would say you're absolutely doing yourself a disservice to climbing by playing Azir. Like, don't get me wrong, he's super fun. Like, I fucking love Azir. One of the best champs in the game for just, like, you know, having fun. But it's, guys, whenever someone's low elo and they ask me, like, should I play Azir? What I always tell people is, like, listen, you know, Azir's awesome. You can definitely get high rank with Azir, but you would get high rank a lot quicker playing something else. And as long as you're aware of that, it's fine. You can do whatever you like. But it is making it harder than it needs to be. It is. All right, let's do Brand. So Brand, I would say overall is Giga Elo inflated. I will say that while Brand probably does fall off in the ultra high Elos, Brand is so fucking easy, guys. You don't understand. So, like, there's a couple things with Brand. Like, one, he builds really tanky, and that's, like, a big deal. You know, like, champs that get to build tankier are generally easier, and that goes for other classes, too, by the way. Like, not even just, like, I'm not talking even within mages, but I'm talking, like, it is generally easier to play tanks than it is to play bruisers, than it is to play mages, than it is to play marksmen. Like, the squishier you go, generally, the more difficult it becomes. Brand has the added bonus, though, of, like, two other things. So he's tanky. He also does a fuck ton of damage. But the other one is that he actually does his damage very quickly. Like, even though Brand is a dot champion, it's like, if you die as Brand, like, let's say you miss position and die, as long as you, like, drop your ult, or, like, at least one combo before you die, like, you're gonna top damage in that team fight, basically guaranteed. So I think Brand is, like, disgustingly elo inflated. I mean, this champ is crazy. I think another, like, great one for climbing. Cassio. Where should we put Cassio? All right, again, I've got to put meta aside. Currently, Cassio is extremely broken. So in higher ranks, you would definitely say that currently Cassio is, like, elo inflated, absolutely, because she's super strong. Historically, though, this champ's pretty tough. I'd actually say not quite as hard as people think. And the main reason I say that is because despite Cassio being, like, short range and shit like that, she does scale pretty well. And she does have fairly tanky builds. So I don't think I want to put Cassio in elo deflated or giga elo deflated. Now, I could be slightly biased here, guys. I could say I could be slightly biased. I have played about probably 5,000 Cassio games in my life. So maybe for me, like, she doesn't feel as hard as she actually is. But I would say her difficulty is a little overstated. I think this champ is obviously hard, but probably not as difficult as something like Azir. And just being able to build tanky, plus having, like, movement speed, some self-peel, lifesteal and shit, like, there is some forgiveness in Cassio's kit. There's definitely some. So I think I'll put it right in the middle. All right, let's keep going. So what's next mid? I think I'll ignore some of these, like, more niche ones. We might come back to that. We'll do Diana. You said you weren't biased. I'm not, guys. I'm humble, handsome, non-biased, everything you want in a man. All right, let's do Diana. Diana, another giga elo inflated champ, guys. I hate to say it. Sorry to all the Diana enjoyers out there, but this champ is super fucking easy, super overtuned, and has been forever. She's just a stat check demon with basically no thought required. I don't even think I need to say anything beyond that. Like, this champion just plays itself. I will say the one, I guess, like, difficulty that Diana has is, like, if you do fall behind, you are pretty useless. Like, there isn't the same forgiveness where there are some champs on this list where it's like, we'll talk about this with Syndra especially, where if you fall behind, you'll still come back. But, like, Diana, admittedly, yeah, from behind she's pretty useless, but it is so hard to fall behind in Diana, okay? It's like you can farm from range with Q, you stat check, like, basically every matchup ever. Like, you don't need to worry about anything like, oh, I need to trade around my opponent's cooldowns, or like, oh, I need to be careful until this certain time in the matchup. No, as Diana, if you can trade, you will win the trade. It's as simple as that. So I think Diana has to be giga elo inflated, in my opinion. Making the case for Diana, you said Akali was deflated because she has to win early. Diana has to win harder. I disagree with that. I don't think that's true. And the big reason I disagree is because, like, one of the reasons Akali has to win early, or not even, like, win early, but Akali can't fall behind, is because Akali has, like, expensive items to build. But, like, as Diana, if you're winning, you can go something greedy, right? You can go something greedy like Lichbane. If you're losing, though, you can just play Storm Surge, an item that builds out of a shit ton of books. So it's, like, very easy to, I guess, like, yeah, adapt, I think. And, like, low-key, Diana's scaling is not bad. Like, okay, yeah, if you go, like, Electrocute, Ignite, and you build Storm Surge, Shattered Flame, yeah, your scaling won't be that good. But, like, understand, that's not actually Diana's scaling, okay? That's, like, your runes and items. And I might talk about runes later. I think sometimes people, like, confuse a little bit runes and items with the champ. Because I promise you, if you play Storm Raiders Lichbane Diana, it's, like, 10 times easier. You know, it's 10 times easier. Okay, Ekko. I'm gonna be honest, guys. I think Ekko is a little elo inflated. Okay, I do think Ekko is a little elo inflated. And the main reason I think this is because pretty early into the game, you can start just, like, clearing waves and not really interacting at all. I do think Ekko's, like, got a pretty high skill cap. Like, I definitely don't think the champ's easy. But it's another champ that's actually quite hard to punish. Like, yeah, it's quite hard to punish, especially if you don't have a champ with the right tools. Like, if you don't have the ability to stop him from, like, eating onto you or whatever, like, a lot of the time he will, you know, he will get control of the lane early, and then, like, he'll hit a point where he can just, like, not interact with you at all. And, like, non-interactive champs, again, like Anivia, are just so fucking annoying. Yeah, there's like definitely some. I mean, I don't know. There's like plenty of skill to Ekko, but I still think it's a little inflated. Guys, I'm doing this with no bias. Okay, like I said, you can trust that every opinion on this list is extremely based and shock pilled. Akshan in wrong tier. You reckon? There you go. Fixed it for you. Fixed it for you. No, it makes my tier list look ugly. But just know, okay, if I wanted to, I would. All right. Yeah. So let's talk about Fizz. Okay. Fizz historically has been a little undertuned. You know, Fizz has been a little undertuned. But putting meta aside, I would like maybe put Fizz in Giga Elo inflated tier. Would I put it that high? I think it's not. Oh, I don't know. Like, Fizz has a similar thing to Diana, where, like, he kind of just wins trades against most things. And, like, unlike a lot of other assassins, he actually has pretty good wave clear. You know, like, he can kill waves very quickly. So, like, other assassins that have to sack to roam or, like, kind of fall behind in farming can definitely be pretty tough. I also think that, unlike some assassins, he has really good gank setup, right? So I think that is probably an argument for him being pretty high up. I do think I should put him like here, maybe. I want to say he's not quite in this tier. I don't think it's quite as cancer. I don't know, though. I could see an argument for it. Like, if you guys really, really hate Fizz, yeah, we could see it. But, and I might come back to this. I think I'll leave it here for now. It's kind of similar to this, in my opinion. Dyna's just much easier. And I think does scale a bit better. So let's leave that. I hate Fizz, though. I hate Fizz. Okay, should we do Galio? Where should we put Galio? I think Galio is probably a little elo inflated, mainly because he's just a tankier champ, right? I was saying this earlier, but playing tankier champs or like more forgiving champs is just like generally easier. Galio, you know, has the ability to neutralize a lot of matchups just because he builds tanky and because he's got like wave clear and shit. And he's also just like really good at skirmishing, which is like a lot of what Solo Queue's about. Like you often see Galios win games where they've got like 5 CSPM. And I think that is like, yeah, that is an argument for him being at least a little elo inflated. Yeah, I think so. I mean, when Galio is strong, I definitely feel like the Galio players suck. You know what I mean? If you're a Galio player right now, I think maybe fair enough. Like the champ's not super broken, but there have definitely been eras or patches, I guess, where Galio's been super busted and it's felt really cancer. Dash Eco's inflated. I mean, that's like low-key true, though, for the most part. Like, again, it is much easier to survive if you have tankiness or you have forgiveness in some way, you know? Trust me, guys, there will be some mages up here, I promise you. I'm sure you can think of at least one. There is definitely at least one mage that's going up there. Doing Hwei next, right? Yeah, let's do Hwei next. What do you guys think about Hwei? I think probably not elo inflated for the most part. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, does anyone have any big gripes with Hwei? Like, to me, this champ is like, I don't know. I'm not really like annoyed by Hwei in any way. I don't think he's like particularly... Okay, the one thing Hwei does have is he has a lot of range and he has a lot of wave clear. So I could see a world where like, especially in lower ranks maybe, where people can't punish Hwei, maybe he's like a little elo inflated. Only inflated if played bot. I think I agree with that. I think in bot lane it's much harder to play, or much harder to punish Hwei. But I think in mid Hwei he's pretty punishable. Like he is gankable. He is quite punishable before he gets his wave clear. It takes a pretty long time, I think, to be like super safe on Hwei. And I also like don't think. I don't know. I don't think Hwei is like the kind of champ where like you fall behind and like suddenly become useful or like has like sort of forgiveness and scaling. So I don't know. I think Hwei players are probably like pretty fairly ranked. You know what I mean? Maybe you could even argue like elo deflated, but I think that would more be because the champ is like typically on the weaker side for mid. I think that's more a balanced thing. I'd say overall like Hwei players are probably exactly where they need to be. I think they're right in the middle. Yeah, I agree the like auto shove thing is bullshit. I just think it takes too long to get there. Like when he came out, it was definitely worse. But I think now it does actually take a pretty long time for him to be like non-interactive, you know? And also, he doesn't have, like, a good way of getting there. You know, like, a champ like Anivia is actually quite hard to punish on the way to Catalyst, because she has 2 lives anyway. Hwei doesn't really have that, though. Okay, where are we at? All right, Irelia. Now, I'm going to potentially make some enemies here, guys. I think Irelia is either elo deflated or giga elo deflated. Okay, so, like, let me explain. I will admit, Aurelia's laning phase is, like, you know, it's pretty easy to just, like, sustain your way through Aurelia's laning phase. Because, like, she gets to build Vamp Scepter and, like, later build Borg. But, like, also realize that a lot of time, if you're like 30 CS ahead on Irelia, like you might be losing. You know what I mean? Like you need to get so much done on Irelia early to feel like you're a good champ, in my opinion. And I think like a lot of the time it's just like, okay, well, as long as you just pick some CC into Irelia, super hard to like take fights or anything. I think the champ is really, really hard mechanically. So, I don't think I'm going to quite put her in Giga Elo deflated. I think we'll put him in... I may move this, though. I may move it. I just think, like, because her laning phase is so easy, I'm not sure I can quite put it here, but it's, like, it is a fucking hard champ to win games on. Very easy to win in your lane, but, like, very hard to win games on this champ. I think Irelia players, you know, again, most of the time, just thinking about this, like, if Irelia player played something else, I think they'd definitely be higher rank, you know? I think I'd definitely be higher rank. Does she become inflated in Korea where her laning phase is much more important? I would say you're onto something here, but the difference is that Irelia is also very gankable, and Korea is very good at ganking. So, like, you're right. If the game ends sooner, like, Irelia is, like, more valuable, but also, it is very hard to play Irelia in Korea, because, like, you're getting ganked nonstop. Okay, Jayce. Jayce is probably a little elo deflated, honestly. I don't think he's quite like these champs. I don't think Jayce is actually as hard as people think, especially mid, like it's a little easier. I do think the Jayce matchups are like kind of A's in mid right now. So like maybe in the meta, it could be like lower, but I don't know. I don't think, yeah, I don't think he deserves to be Giga Elo deflated. Like it's probably slightly harder than playing like a normal mage, but I wouldn't say it's like super low on the list. And I do think like Jayce's difficulty is like a little overstated. He is, in my opinion, much harder to play top lane where you need to like play on your like auto range, especially in the melees. But in mid, I'd say it's like a little more binary of if you're winning or losing. Unfortunately, it does have like a lot of losing matchups at the moment, but that's kind of the way it goes. Okay, Kassadin. Honestly, not sure where to put this champ. So here's my take. I think overall, I think Kassadin kind of sucks. I do. I think Kassadin kind of sucks. I think the meta is like, I say the meta, but I more mean like modern day League has been too fast for Kassadin for a long time, you know? But at the same time, I think that, like, what Kassadin does give you is, like, if your opponent doesn't punish you, you kind of just, like, win the game on Kassadin at some point. Like, you will get random kills, and then you're, like, snowball out of control. But I think just because the champion is so weak in, like, an actual elo, I don't know if I can, like, put him lower, like, well, or put her higher. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'd probably put Kassadin probably in the middle, I think. I think, yeah, we probably put Kassadin right in the middle. I mean, again, it's just like, the champ itself is simple. I don't think it's like super high skill cap, but I also think the champion is like so bad that it's like, there is some skill to it just from that, because you have to like make up for the fact that your teammates like won't play around you and like you will fall behind and stuff. I don't know. I think this champ sucks. I'll be honest. Katarina. At least a little elo inflated, okay? I'm not sure Katarina is like giga elo inflated, but at least a little. Yeah, at least a little. So the thing with Cat is, like, admittedly, Cat is a hard champion. I think Cat is a lot harder than most champions on this list. In fact, you could probably say Katarina is harder than almost everything above her here. So that makes me think that Katarina can't be Giga inflated, Elo inflated, because the champ is hard. But the annoying thing is, like, kind of similar to Akshan, she does get to kind of just, like, run around the map randomly and get fed, which is pretty annoying. Like, I think she does, like, kind of slot in next to these assassins. She is a little more punishable early if, like, you're, you know, like, I think it is easier to get away with bad laning on these sort of champs. But you can maybe argue the same with Katarina. Like, if Katarina's lane goes bad, like, she just, like, runs bot and kills everyone, right? So, yeah. I think just because Cat individually is quite hard, I think she should be in Elo inflated and not Giga Elo inflated. I think, yeah, right about there seems good. Okay. I think another one that is kind of tough to rate, I think current meta, LeBlanc would actually be elo deflated. But I think all time, LeBlanc is actually probably elo inflated. And the reason is just like, LeBlanc is too good in solo queue for the most part. Like, she just has too many dashes. It is quite a hard champ to play, similar to Katarina, but I think once you're good at LeBlanc, she's actually quite forgiving. Like, LeBlanc used to be a really good blind pick for a long time, and I think it's, like, only kind of recently where LeBlanc has, like, not that good. And this is like for a couple meta reasons. Like one, Catalyst is very overtuned, and two, there's a lot of AP bots. So like at the moment, LeBlanc can't really be solo AP a lot of the time, and it's also like quite difficult to like guarantee some sort of snowball. It's hard to play like flat pin builds as well. So I think historically, LeBlanc has been kind of like Ahri, but like a little harder, like actually quite a lot harder. So she's either at the very bottom of Elo inflated or at the top of not Elo inflated. Yeah, kind of hard to say. I think I don't want her to be near Ahri because like Ahri and LeBlanc are kind of the same. It's just like LeBlanc is way harder. So I think I'll put her here at the very top. But there is an argument for this champ being Elo inflated, I think, a little bit. Just because again, once you're good at her, she is quite forgiving. Okay, Liss. I don't know. I think Liss is like basically slap bang in the middle. Does anyone have strong opinions on Liss? I do think that there used to be a time where Liss was Elo inflated, like where she used to be able to just like one-shot waves, basically. But like nowadays, I don't know. I think Liss is pretty punishable. I do think her AoE team fighting is very good, and that is like a pretty big bonus for solo queue. Just like having the consistent AoE 5v5 win con, I think that is pretty good. But yeah, I don't know. I think just like straight in the middle. I don't know. I have a strong opinion on Liss. Locke. Okay, what are we thinking about Locke, guys? Hard to just like distinguish this champ from the meta because again, like Locke has just not been around long enough to like currently we only can think of Locke as super OP because he has only been super OP so far, right? I think if Locke were balanced though, he actually probably wouldn't be Elo inflated. You know what I mean? Like I think if Locke's numbers were tuned correctly, this champ would be like, you have to get ahead early, and you do fall off a cliff later. So, like, it is kind of hard. But again, it's just like, he's only been released in an OP state. So I think Locke kind of has to be Giga Elo inflated. But I honestly think, guys, if we redid this list in a while, I think he would maybe go down quite a bit. Next, guys, another Doomsday pick. We've got Lux. Lux's absolutely Giga Elo inflated. This champion plays itself. Lux mains every now and then will try and cope that this champion is like hard to play or like weak, and it's such complete bullshit. This champ is super easy. And in fact, you know, guys, I'll just like quickly bring it up. Like last time this happened, okay, I'm gonna drop a little bit of shock lore, okay? So long time ago in 2021, I can't remember who it was, but there was like some Bard mains on OCE that told me that like Bard was a hard champ, you know, and like I remember seeing all the time like people would be saying like, yeah, Bard is so difficult, like it's so easy to grief your team and all this sort of shit. And I was like, there's no fucking way. Like, this champ is super easy. So what did I do? I went and played Bard. Okay, season 11, most played Bard, 64% win rate. Champ is extremely fucking easy. Okay, don't listen to any Bard player. The champ plays itself, and it's the exact same with Lux. And you know how I can prove it, guys? I have played some Lux on stream. What's my win rate? 65%. Yeah, exactly. So Lux, again, super broken. The thing with Lux is like, even if you're bad at it, you can just like ER every wave after 6 or every other wave, and it's like very hard to punish. It's super hard to punish at all stages of the game too, because she has so much range. And I think another thing is like, compared to some of the other like mages that deal like high burst or whatever, she doesn't have to put herself in any sort of danger. You know, like for example, if you miss Syndra E, you can get engaged on and die, right? If you miss Lux like Q, chances are you're still so far away that it's actually not an issue whatsoever. So I think it's just like, if you're a bad mid laner, or actually no, just like straight up, if you're a bad player, like, and you play Lux, like you'll be up hundreds of LP above your rank, okay? This champ is so forgiving. I hate Lux. One of my all-time most hated champs in the game. I do think Lux is strong though, you know, like people, I sometimes get messages about like, why do you hate Lux so much? Do you think she's weak? No, guys, it's the opposite. I think Lux is really broken and far too forgiving, far too difficult to punish for how strong she is. I think she does have like some weakness in ultra high elo, but again, guys, like if someone came to me and they were like, okay, what champ do I play to try and get like master or diamond as quickly as possible, I think I'd almost certainly recommend Lux, because there's just so many things they could get away with. Now, if they're trying to go for challenger, I think I'd probably tell them something different. But just for like getting to those elos, like yeah, Lux is the ticket, guys. Lux is the ticket. All right, let's keep going. Malzahar. Malzahar. Okay, it's let's talk about this one a little bit. Malz in high elo sucks. Malz in really high elo sucks. And the reason is because this champ is too easy to punish and lame. But also, if like literally 99% of the player base doesn't know how to punish Malzahar, I think that has to put him pretty high. Funnily enough, I actually don't think he should be I don't think he should be Giga Eel inflated. I mean, he just like doesn't have as much impact. That being said, though, I mean, champ like mostly plays itself. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough one. I think if you're below Diamond, Malz is like Giga Eel inflated. I mean, there'll be some like very bad Malz players that have managed to climb quite a bit. But I think once you're Diamond Plus, I don't think it would actually be that high. Yeah, I don't know. This one really depends. Like, I always tell people that, like, playing against Malzahar is like a laning litmus test. Like, if you think Malzahar is hard to punish, you just kind of suck at laning, and you should probably get better at it. But again, it's like, there's just gonna be so many players, like 99% of players that just, like, are not good enough in lane to punish Malz. So I think we should probably put him in Giga Eel inflated. I do think he sucks in high elo, though, because he's just too punishable. But that takes a long time for people to figure out. How do you punish Malz? I mean, it's like the same way you punish everything. It's like, he has long cooldowns, and he's, like, weak in trading early, so you basically just, like, fight with him. Mel. Okay. I am going to drop a little bit of a hot take here. I think Mel is actually an elo deflator, okay? So hear me out. Hear me out. You guys are going to... Your mind's going to be blown. I think this champ sucks, and I think this champ has sucked almost ever since she came out. I think the very first patch she was out, Mel was really broken, but basically since then, I think this champion just sucks. And the reason is because, like... So... I actually think her passive is, like, a big part of it. Because the thing with Mel is it's, like, as Mel, you basically guarantee you get all the gold, okay? You get all the gold. And if your champ is really strong, that's really good. Like, if you're something like Locke or Smolder, that's awesome, right? You're getting all the money, and, like, you would just keep getting stronger. But if you're a champ like Mel that actually doesn't scale very well, and a big reason for that is because your skill shots are actually quite hard to hit. Especially late game when people have a lot of movement speed. So, in my opinion, Mel, like, kind of has to get ahead early, has, like, difficult skill shots to hit, doesn't scale that well, and a lot of time denies gold from the rest of your team. So I actually think Mel is kind of an elo deflator. I think most people would be better off playing a different champ rather than Mel. And Mel is Anivia and Locke slightly weaker. I heavily disagree. I think Mel is so punishable. Like, Anivia builds Catalyst and that's infinite wave clear. Lux has also infinite wave clear and lots of range. Mel has range, but, like, Mel doesn't build Catalyst, and Mel doesn't really have good wave clear. Like, I don't think, I swear punishing Mel's easy. I don't have any issues playing as Mel whatsoever. I don't see Naafiri mid at all, but it is kind of like the go-to recommended AD mid, so we should probably talk about it. I'd say Naafiri is elo inflated for sure. The champ is just very, very easy to play, and similar to Diana, she's like a stat check machine. So probably, like, at the higher end of elo inflated, or actually, you know what? I think she might even be Giga elo inflated, just because very similar to Diana, she's just like, you pull up and you stat check people, and you can farm from range, which, like, a lot of assassins can't. So yeah, I think we'll put her in the Giga Elo inflated tier. I think that's where she belongs. She's just too easy. Okay, so Ori's another one. Kind of depends on elo. Let's be honest, guys. If you're high elo, Orianna is like Giga Elo inflated. Okay, like disgusting. Like, this champ is super broken. For the majority of the player base, she's actually probably elo deflated because, like, the champ's pretty hard. I think we kind of just have to put it right in the middle. I think Orianna is, like, overall mostly just a test of how good you are as a mid laner. So if you're really good, she's OP fucking champ. If you're not really good, she's kind of weak. So I think we just kind of have to put her right in the middle. I think if there's, like, a fair champ in the game, again, for most elos, I think we'd say it's Ori. Okay, look, Qiyana does have a lot of the same things of, like, being able to run around the map and get fed. You know, it is easy to get fed. But at the same time, she is quite punishable in lane. Like, she doesn't have the same tools that a lot of other champions have, right? Like, she's not a great D shield either. She can farm from range, but, like, not well. And I don't know, like, recently, at least, like, she's not that good. And it's just, like, so much better in jungle as well. I'm not sure. I think I'll probably just put Qiyana right here again. It's like, yeah, I don't think she's elo deflated. I think just because, like, she can run around the map and, like, get fed randomly like these other assassins, and because she's one of the, like, just, like, strong AoE team fighters, I think she has to be, like, not elo inflated. Yeah, I think that's about right. I don't think I'm putting her any lower, but I don't think she deserves to go any higher. She's probably just, like, right about here somewhere. Okay, Ryze. Ooh, interesting. Okay, guys, another one I gotta, like, drop a little, it's kind of like Ori. If you know what you're doing, Ryze is currently one of the single best mid laners in the entire game. In fact, he might even be the best mid in the game. But again, like, for most people, I think Ryze kind of sucks. Like, Ryze is, really hard to play from, like, a macro point of view. I think probably much harder to win on than Ori as well, just because, like, he's not good at AoE teamfighting. Like, at least Ori, if you're not abusing the lane, you've still got that, like, AoE teamfight win condition, and, like, you kind of scale if someone else in your team is fed. Like, if you can buff a carry, or if you can buff, like, a bruiser or something. I don't think Ryze has that consistent win comm. In fact, I'm, like, almost tempted to put Ryze in, like, Giga Elo deflated for the average player. What do you guys think? I mean, it's hard to say because Ryze, meta-wise, is just so broken, okay? He's so broken. But I honestly think for almost everyone watching this, it would be so much easier to play something else, you know? So, I don't know. No, we should probably put him here. I mean, he does get to build Catalyst. I don't think I can put him down here. Let's put him alongside these, I think. I think it's about the same sort of, Okay, Swain. Swain should be elo inflated, for sure. So Swain is just super fucking easy. That's the big thing. I mean, Swain is super fucking easy. Where would we put him, though? He's very tanky, which is nice. Good AoE, also really nice. I think, yeah, he's at least elo inflated. I don't think he can be Giga. I think we just leave him here. What do you guys think? Yeah, let's just put him there. Next, Sylas. Ooh, okay. I think Sylas is elo deflated, or maybe even, like, Giga elo deflated. I think this champ in solo queue is, like, really, really hard. I think this champ's, like, way harder to win on than people think. Even, yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's very good, guys. Like, it has, like, a pretty difficult win con. I think, like, if you're using Sylas counterpick and you get really good ults, like, it can be easy. But for the most part, like, I think Sylas is, like, a very hard champion to win on. I think so much easier to play more consistent 5v5. I think it's not quite as hard as these. So maybe I'll put it, like, there somewhere. But I'm not a big Sylas believer at all. Sylas easy? No, I disagree. I don't agree at all. I think Sylas is way harder than people think. Sylas gets fed so easy in low elo. Possibly. I don't know. Ultimately, I can only base this off, like, what I think. And my opinion is that, like, it's so easy to beat Sylas at, like, all stages of the game. I think you have to work really, really hard to win games on Sylas. Alright, guys. Syndra. So, I hate to break it to you guys, but Syndra is, even putting meta aside, like, one of the absolute most elo-inflated mids in the game. So, the thing with Syndra, like, oh, you'd be surprised. Syndra used to be a super difficult champ, in my opinion. And she still has a very high skill ceiling. But, like, it used to be, if you fell behind on Syndra, you would be completely fucking useless. This is pre-rework. But now, there's so much forgiveness built into Syndra's kit that while Syndra is, like, a giga lane bully, you can be horrible at laning on Syndra and still win games. And I see this even in high elo, which, like, really tells you, like, how elo inflated this champion is. So I think that, yeah, just, like, her A is so insanely broken. She just, like, gets to also just, like, get tons of scaling from, like, her passive and shit. Like, you do so much damage late game, even if you, like, feed. I do think she is a little more punishable than some of the other champs. You know, like, a bad Syndra can be punished more than a bad Lux, in my opinion. And, like, if you position badly, you won't have as much impact as, like, Brand or something. But yeah, it's pretty fucking elo inflated, guys. And this one specifically is probably the most elo inflated in higher ranks, you know? Like, most of the, like, really OP champs in high elo right now are quite difficult to play. But Syndra, I don't know, man. There's so many bad Syndras in high elo, and they get away with it, so yeah, she's elo inflated as fuck. I say that as a Syndra player, you know? Like, Syndra, I've played plenty of Syndra in my life. It's probably my second most played champ, or third most played champ. I think Taliyah is a little elo deflated, but not much. Yeah, a little elo deflated. I don't know, like, Taliyah is, I think, super strong. I think Taliyah is still really strong. But it is kind of hard to play in solo queue. There's a lot of assassins, and you don't often get the, like, the setup. You know, you don't often get, like, a Leona or a Xin Zhao or a Vi or whatever. So I think playing Taliyah in solo queue can be pretty tough. I do think that, like, you have better, like, teamfight scaling than a lot of champs on this list. But yeah, she's probably a little deflated. I think if you're, like, a Taliyah one-trick, unless you're, like, extremely good, like Odysseus or something, I think you're probably you'd probably be better off playing something else, or like you'd have more success, I guess. What do we think of Talon? I think in Talon's peak, he was probably elo inflated. I think now Talon is probably not elo inflated. I don't know, it's hard to say. Talon jungle is like super elo inflated, right? Like I think Talon jungle is fucking insane. I don't really see anyone play Talon mid anymore though. It's like very much like Qiyana. I don't think anyone really plays it mid anymore. I think we'll probably just leave it right here. I mean, again, it is still a champ that can, like, clear waves and run around the map and get fed. And that makes me think, like, he can never be elo deflated. But, I don't know. He is one of the more punishable assassins, I think. Like, if you're just a bad Talon, like, they're pretty easy to beat. I think we'll just leave it here in the middle somewhere. Maybe could readjust it, but, I think that's fine. I think TF is pretty fair. I want to put TF, like, right in the middle. I think that, okay, TF... I almost want to put TF deflated because he has a pretty hard win con, right? Like, you do need to kind of get stuff done early, and you do need to, like, abuse your side lane. But, I don't know, at the same time, guys, like, he is a Catalyst builder. He takes Resolve, and he has point and click CC. So, like, I think the champ is just mechanically too easy to be put lower. I do think his game plan's pretty tough, but honestly, just think mechanically the champ is too easy to be, like, elo deflated. So... I think I'll put him right in the middle as well. It's a champ. It's very similar to Ori. Like, really rewards being good at the game. Oh, okay. Veigar. I'm putting Veigar in Giga Elo deflated. I'm going to be honest, guys. I think this champion is awful. And I don't think it's, like... It's not a meta thing either. Or, like... The thing is, like... Veigar ticks a lot of the boxes of being easy. But, like... You should realize that Veigar has been trash for, like, years. You know what I mean? This is not like Veigar is bad right now. This champ has been awful forever. I think that he's so bad. I mean, like, he's got a lot of the things that makes, like, people weak in solo queue. He's short range. He's not good in lane. His CC's hard to hit. His build path is terrible. Like, he has no impact until death cap, and, like, you're going to be playing, like, Roa and, you know, like, Roa Seraph death cap, or even, like, Roa death cap. You have no haste. I think it's pretty useless. You guys are saying, like, no way. I've coached a lot of Veigar players. And even in lower ranks, like, they really struggle to have impact. You know, like, I see just, like, Roa builders in general. It's, like, good if you, like, AFK scale, right? It is good if you AFK scale. But honestly, don't even think the Veigar scaling is very good. Like, he is short range. Again, his, like, damage is kind of unreliable. Like, I don't think Veigar ult is, like, particularly good damage. Yeah, I think this champion is just, like, horrible. I honestly think the champion is just horrible. I don't think... Yeah, I honestly think if you're playing Veigar, it's, like, don't get me wrong, like, you can make it work, but your champ has been weak for so long, and while it is easy, it's not, like, easy plus impact in the way that Malzahar is. I think it's just, like, easy plus no impact. Like, it just doesn't do anything. Veigar's not on Azir level deflated. Maybe? Yeah, I could, like, see that, but I really, really, like... You guys, like, don't understand. I think this is the single worst mid in the game. I think it's the single worst mid in the game. I think I'll leave there. You also think Malz is bad, but he's at the top. Yes, true, but I think Malz is bad in low elo. Or, sorry, Malz is bad in high elos because he can be punished. I think that Veigar is bad in all elos because he just doesn't do anything. I'm leaving it, guys. It's my tier list. I will be leaving it. Okay, Vel'Koz. I would, like, maybe be tempted to put Vel'Koz in Giga Elo deflated also. I don't know if it should quite go there. So, I mean, Vel'Koz is really hard. Let's start with that. Vel'Koz is really hard. He is good into mages. He's pretty bad against, like, any assassin. I think the mid mages are pretty tough. I think if you're playing Vel'Koz, like, AD or support, it's probably not quite as bad. But I think mid Vel'Koz is pretty tough. Yeah, I actually think I might put him here. I don't know. I mean, like, he is a little more consistent maybe than these two, because, like, you are, like, good at team fighting and stuff, which is nice. Like, you do a lot of damage. It's not quite at the same level of brand. I think I'll put him in Giga Elo deflated. I don't really believe in Vel'Koz. I don't even, like, have an opinion on Vex, I don't think. I mean, like, it's probably a little inflated, right? Like, maybe a tiny bit, just because it's very easy. Yeah, I think, okay, I think she might be, like, a little Elo inflated. I do think it's, like, an easy, well, I don't know. I mean, even then... Yeah, I'm not really sure. She is very easy to play, I think. That's, like, the big thing, is, like, it is very easy to have, like, reasonable impact on Vex. And I think she's maybe not quite as easy as Swain, so maybe we should put her, like, slightly lower? I don't know, like, Swain, maybe Swain needs to go further along. I'm not really sure, like... You know what? I think I'll put Vex here. I think I'll put her next to Annie. I think Vex and Annie are, like, quite similar to me. I think we'll put them both there. That seems fine. Okay, where are we at now? Oh, Victor. Oh. Okay, I think Victor is kind of like Irelia, actually, where, like, it is super easy to win your lane on Victor. It's super easy to win your lane on Victor. I actually think winning the game on Victor is pretty hard, though. I think it's way harder than people realize. Now, he does scale a lot better than a champ like Irelia, but the thing is, like, he's not very good at skirmishing, and he has a really weak mid game if you don't get ahead. So, I actually think Victor is not elo inflated. It is extremely annoying to play against, but I think winning on Victor is actually quite tough. Like, I think it's quite an easy champ to beat, in my opinion. As long as you don't get, like, absolutely unbelievably punished in lane. I think, probably, like, a little more closer to being inflated just because his lane is easy, but overall, I don't think he's, like, a great champ for, like, boosting your elo, so to speak. I think Vlad is harder than people think. You have to, like, fight on pretty specific windows in order to, like, you know, you gotta play around your sums. I do think Vlad's sustain in lane is kind of like Malzahar almost, where it's like, if you're against someone who's really good at punishing lane, Vlad's sustain sometimes feels like it's not quite enough. But then for, like, the average player, it feels like Vlad basically just, like, can't be beaten in lane. So I'm almost tempted to put Vlad in, like, slightly elo inflated, just because I think that the majority of the player base is just not quite good enough in lane to overcome Vlad's regen. And if you can't overcome Vlad's regen, then he just keeps sustaining. And as long as you, like, fight on your sums and shit, I think you'll be pretty good. I don't think I think I'm going to put Vlad, like, maybe right here as well. Like, I think he's very close to being elo inflated, but maybe not quite. Xerath, probably deflated. I don't think Xerath is, like... The thing with Xerath is, like, there are champs that do a lot more damage while having easier skill shots. You know, like, I compare Xerath to something like Syndra. It's, like, so much easier to play, like, Syndra or, like, Victor, Ori, and just, like, have 10 times the impact that Xerath has. Like, Xerath has to hit all of his skill shots to do comparable damage to Syndra. So, like, I don't know. Personally, I don't think this champion is, you know, I think it's slightly deflated. I think Xerath's a very easy champ to beat. Okay, Yasuo is either right next to Irelia or maybe even Giga Elo deflated. Like, this champion is really, really bad, in my opinion. I think a very hard champ to win games on, unless you've got, like, the right setup with you. I will admit that, like, okay, maybe the thing that keeps him in deflated and not Giga is, like, if you've got the right champs, it becomes much easier. Like, if you play Yasuo Diana, Yasuo Gragas, like that, it is a lot easier to play. But I think, to me, Yasuo's like an Irelia copy, pretty much. It's the exact same thing. Like, winning lane is super easy, but winning the game is super hard. So I think we'll leave it there. I'm like maybe tempted to move it down, but I think his lane is just too good. So I think we'll keep him out of there. Ooh, okay, Yone. Look, guys, D-Shield, Second Wind, potentially Fleet is quite hard to punish, but I will say that, like, you really got to be careful when you fight. You know, you've got to be super careful when you fight. You're not really able to take any big fights before shield bow. You've got to really, like, leverage your, like, side lane win condition. I think Yone mechanically actually easier than people think, but I think Yone game plan is harder than people think. So I would maybe say Yone and high-elo might actually be elo inflated, but I think overall, probably not elo inflated. I'll probably put him somewhere in here. Probably not elo inflated. It is a very annoying champ, though. I don't know. Maybe you could argue that in low elo, he scales too freely and then just, like, pops off. What do you guys think? He might be, like, ever so slightly. He kind of, like, reminds me of Vlad a little bit. As long as you're aware of, like, his unique win cons, I think there is kind of an argument for him, like, being slightly inflated. But so much of it is just, like, D-Shield, Second Wind, Sustain. What do I think of Ziggs? Pretty whatever. I think Ziggs is just, like, straight in the middle. I don't really want to say anything about this. I think, like, Ziggs can farm from range, which is nice. I don't think the champ's, like, great, though. I don't know. I don't have a strong opinion on Ziggs at all. I think Ziggs bot is probably elo inflated, but I think Ziggs mid is, like, totally whatever. No opinion. Zed, I'm going to say it, guys. I think Zed is slightly elo inflated. I think he is. Reason, he can farm from range, D-Shield, Abuser, which is really nice. No mana costs. Also scales pretty well. A lot of different builds. I would say Zed is, like, basically a mage, honestly. He's nowhere near as difficult as other assassins, in my opinion. Like, he has a very high skill ceiling, don't get me wrong. But, like, if you're bad at landing on Zed, you can get away with it. If you're bad at landing on one of these champs, you're going to be fucking miserable. So, I think Zed's elo inflated. I'll be honest. I hate that champ. What do you think of Zillion, guys? This champ is very much like Malzahar, in my opinion. Like, he's almost the exact same. If Zilean spawned in at 10 minutes, he would be super broken, but he doesn't. And, like, you can punish him really hard before that point. So that makes me think that he, like, shouldn't be elo inflated. I actually suspect for most players that Zilean's a little elo inflated. But I think as you get higher ranks, he, like, becomes really trash. So, where should we put him? Maybe, again, just, like, right about in the middle. I don't know. I'm kind of tempted to put him here, guys. I'll be honest. You know what? I think I'm going to stand my ground. I think I'm going to put him in elo inflated. I think he's like Malzahar. He's, like, exactly like Malzahar to me. Zoe is kind of like Katarina at the moment, which is kind of cringe, because Zoe used to be a really cool champ, and now she's kind of, like, she has become a run around and get fed champ, which is kind of annoying. I do think Zoe's really hard to play, and I think that, like, the meta has been unkind to Zoe for a very long time. Like, Zoe sucks with everyone having so much engage, so much mobility. You know, like, champs like Mbessa and Cassandra being out of the game are, like, super bad for Zoe. So, honestly, I think winning on Zoe is pretty tough. Probably not quite as hard as some of the ones down here. But Zoe's definitely an elo deflator these days. I think Zoe used to be elo inflated, but I think nowadays, just with the way the game has become, I actually think Zoe's a little elo deflated. I think we'll leave her there. Why is Cassandra and Mbessa bad for Zoe? They're just, like, tanky and have mobility and, like, quite a lot of threat, which is, like, all the things Zoe hates. You know, like, it used to be that there'd be champs like, I don't know, like, Leona would be your worst nightmare as a Zoe. And don't get me wrong, like, it still is, but there's more of those champs in every game now than there used to be. Like, there's just so many of them. Every game is, like, fucking shit tons of bruisers, tanks, really, aid stuff for the Zoe. I think Garen is probably Giga Elo deflated, or inflated, I'm gonna be honest. Like, this champ's super easy, right? I think Garen's probably Giga Elo inflated. Okay, you know what? Fuck it. I'll add Pantheon. I don't really see Pantheon, so I don't think I really have a strong opinion. I think Pantheon would be a little elo inflated, though. I mean, like, I think Pantheon scales a lot better than he used to, and I think he's pretty easy champ to play, so he's probably at least elo inflated. I'm not sure he should go higher, but yeah, we'll see. I mean, Riven's... Okay, you know what? I think Riven is, like, kind of a... She's not fake hard, she's just not quite as hard as people think she is, you know what I mean? I think Riven's definitely elo inflated. I think she's, like, probably, like, close to being Giga elo inflated, too. In fact, maybe she is. I mean, she's just a little harder than those champs. Let's put her here. I think Riven's pretty fucking busted. Sion is elo inflated for sure. I mean, this champ's 200 punish in lane, and the champ's quite easy. Would he be Giga elo inflated? I actually think he could be. What do you guys think? Giga elo inflated on the Sion? I don't know. Thoughts on that? I think it's a reasonable take, yeah. I think if you don't have the right tools to deal with Sion, like, you can be kind of fucked. I think, like, Sion and Ultra High Lows isn't as bad because a lot of the blinds are decent against Sion, but, like, straight up, if you're playing the wrong thing into Sion, you're in big trouble. You're in big trouble. Let's try and do this left to right a little bit. So I think Akshan should be the most. Low-key, no, I think I leave that. I think I might maybe move that. I think those are okay. I think I might actually move Ahri. I'm tempted to move some champs up. You know what? Fuck it. I think I'm doing that. Does that look better? Do we think that looks better? I think that might look a little more accurate, to be honest. Yeah. Okay. I think I leave that. I think this tier is then okay. Might move that a little bit. Might move this up. So, like, there, maybe? I think that's fine. Isn't Riven really hard? That's what the one tricks want you to believe, but, like, there's so many fucking high rank Riven one tricks. Like, I refuse to believe that champ's hard. I don't know. Do we move anything else in this tier? This one has a lot. I think this tier could use some movement. Like, let's swap that. And then let's swap that as well. I think I might do that. Then I think this champ is just too bad. Elo deflated. Most broken champ in the game. I tried to do this as much as I could without thinking about the meta. Obviously, if a champ has been like that for a very long time, it's kind of hard to avoid that. But I did specifically try and not do the meta because otherwise it would literally just be the tier list done again, right? It would just be a champion power tier list because currently, you're right, like, it would be the 4, like, strongest champs in the game, which would be, what, like, Ori, Cassius, Syndra, and Ryze. I think you're biased towards mages. I got plenty of mages up here, bro. Like, I got Swain, Syndra, Locke, Malzahar, Anivia. Like, I have plenty of mages up here. In fact, I have more mages and assassins than Giga Elo inflated. Do I move anything down here? I think this is pretty good. I think I might move Jayce along a little bit. I might move that, maybe. Maybe this. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. I think we leave it like that. Or should I maybe... Nah, I don't think so. I'm like kind of tempted to move Fizz up, but I think I'll keep it out. Although, if Riven is up here, I think Katarina should probably be with her. I might actually bring Riven down. I think that's more fair. Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to leave it like that. I think I'm going to leave it like that. I think that's a good final list. Guys, it's my tier list, not yours. That's... Everyone here thinks Akali should go up. Yeah, but it's my fucking tier list, bro. It's not going up. That's where she belongs.